the silent ones who change the room. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to influence the entire atmosphere without raising their voice? They don't argue. They don't defend themselves. They don't explain their behavior. They simply withdraw. And when they do, something strange happens. The room feels different. People feel uneasy. Conversations lose their rhythm. Suddenly, the ones who ignored them begin to notice their absence. This is not coincidence. This is psychological law. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped being available? Not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of awareness. Why withdrawal feels so powerful? Most people believe power comes from expression, from proving, from winning arguments. Carl Jung saw it differently. True power, he believed, comes from containment. When you stop reacting immediately, you interrupt unconscious patterns. People are used to your reactions. They know what buttons to press. They know how to pull you back into emotional labor. But the moment you withdraw, they lose their reference point. And uncertainty makes people uncomfortable. Emotional availability as conditioning. From childhood, you are trained to respond. When called, you answered. When criticized, you explained. When tension appeared, you fixed it. Over time, this became automatic. You learned that being available equals being loved. But Jung warned us about unconscious conditioning. What begins as kindness slowly turns into self-erasure. When availability becomes compulsory, it is no longer generosity. It is submission. Jung's mirror. Irritation reveals truth. Carl Jung once wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." But there is another layer to this insight. When others become irritated by your silence, it reveals something about them. Ask yourself, who becomes angry when you don't respond? Who accuses you of changing? Who suddenly demands explanations? Their discomfort is evidence. It means your availability was part of their emotional stability, the addiction to reaction. Many relationships survive only because of reaction. Drama feeds connection. Conflict feeds attention. Emotional chaos feeds attachment. When you stop reacting, the bond weakens. Not because love disappears, but because dependency is exposed. People who relied on your emotional availability will experience withdrawal symptoms. And like any addiction, they may try to provoke you back. The hidden cost of always being there. Every forced conversation costs you something. Every unnecessary explanation drains you. Every emotional rescue takes energy from your core. And yet, you tell yourself, it's fine. It's nothing. I can handle it. Until one day, you can't. You feel tired without reason, empty without cause, disconnected from yourself. This is not burnout. This is psychic depletion, Jung's concept of psychic energy. Jung believed the psyche operates like an energy system. Energy is finite. Every thought consumes it. Every emotion redirects it. Every reaction spends it. When you react impulsively, you give energy to things that do not nourish you. And Jung was clear. What you resist persists. The more you react, the more entangled you become. Why exhausted people are easy to manipulate. Exhaustion creates vulnerability, and vulnerability invites exploitation. Not always consciously, but instinctively. People sense when you lack boundaries. They feel when you don't protect your energy. They come to you with problems, with drama, with emotional weight. And because you are always available, you carry what was never yours, projection, the role you never chose. Jung called projection the process by which people place their unconscious material onto others. When you are emotionally available, you become a screen. They project their needs, their wounds, their expectations. They don't see you. They see a function, the helper, the listener, the emotional container, and you accept the role because it feels safer than rejection. What happens when you stop playing the role? The moment you stop responding the same way, the projection breaks. And this is deeply unsettling. People may say, "You've changed. You're cold now. You're distant." But what they really mean is, "You are no longer who I need you to be." And that realization hurts. Silence as psychological authority. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is containment. When you don't explain yourself, you reclaim authorship of your inner world. While you speak, others can interrupt, twist, and reinterpret. But silence leaves no entry point. It forces others to sit with themselves. That is why silence feels threatening. Jung and the power of observation. Jung believed transformation begins with observation. When you stop reacting, you start seeing patterns. Who only contacts you in crisis? Who disappears when you set limits? Who becomes hostile when you stay calm? Silence reveals truth faster than confrontation. The price of conscious silence. Silence has consequences. You may lose relationships. You may be misunderstood. You may feel isolated. But Jung taught that individuation requires separation from the collective, not forever, but long enough to hear your own voice again. Conscious unavailability is not cruelty. Being unavailable does not mean being heartless. It means being selective. It means choosing when and where your energy flows. It means understanding that not every emotion deserves your response, and not every person deserves access to you. Small acts of sovereignty. Individuation begins quietly, not replying immediately, leaving conversations early, saying, "I won't engage," turning off your phone without guilt, and most importantly, not explaining yourself. Explanations keep you trapped in old narratives, sacred isolation. Jung spoke of sacred isolation, a temporary withdrawal to rebuild the self. This is not loneliness. This is restoration. In this space, you stop asking who needs you and start asking who you are, how to know. You're evolving. Here is a simple test. Observe who becomes uncomfortable when you protect your peace. Observe who accuses you of changing. These reactions are not failures. They are confirmations. From reaction to creation. When reactions stop, creation begins. You regain clarity. Your thoughts slow down. Your energy returns. You are no longer shaped by others' emotions. You begin shaping your own life, the loneliness of the strong. There is a loneliness that comes with self-respect. Jung knew this. But this loneliness is not emptiness. It is fullness without noise. It is being whole without applause, the final transformation. When you stop being available to everyone, you become available to yourself. When you stop accepting emotional crumbs, you attract substance. When you stop betraying yourself, you become solid, rare, unforgettable. Final question. So now ask yourself honestly, are you willing to be misunderstood for the sake of inner freedom? Are you ready to lose roles to gain authenticity? If this resonates, write in the comments, I choose my peace. And remember, this path is not easy, but it is real. Keep watching.